let's go to the pit for some Mongol versus Abbasids. I haven't been fully convinced by DauT's Mongols yet. And Mongols do feel quite tricky to play at the moment. I'm hoping he's going to impress me. Sorry, I sound kind of biased, like I want to watch Crackety lose now. But no, welcome back, folks. The Legends from the Ladders. We got another cool one here. DauT, of course, continuing on the grind. Currently 74th in the world. Crackety, meanwhile, up in 63rd. So Crackety wins, right? We'll have to find out. He's definitely got a strong Civ. People have been noticing some in the stats recently, actually. The Abbasids are performing incredibly well. It makes sense when you think about it. The buffs of the early game allows them to get out of an uncomfortable situation. The prolonged feudals have benefited them from the extra unit types they have to counter out the popular horsemen. And also, their production rates in the late game, in conjunction with their eco-scaling, makes them a very strong Civ. So, not surprised Crackety wanted to sweat it out here. As he did admit, he's got about a 7% drop rate, as in his games will crash 7% of the time. He needs to make up the elo difference elsewhere. So, why not pick one of the most powerful civs to do so? Let's see what he can do with them, because he's going to be up against the Mongols. I did highlight DauT has been looking a little bit rough with his Mongol builds. Definitely feels like he's warming up. I feel a lot of people are trying to figure out what's next for the Mongols right now. But I do love this detail about DauT. One thing he does really well is moving the Gur around to scout and also pick up sheep. And you'll notice he does it here, and he also sets up on the deer. Love this idea, actually. You're up against the Abbasids. This isn't a Dark Age rushing Civ, so he's probably going to try to play a little bit of pocket eco. This also could just be for Wheelbarrow. More likely it's going to be for Wheelbarrow, simply because playing out into deer too quickly here is risky without military presence. And wow. Okay, interesting. So I think DauT was originally planning to go for the deer, but then changed his mind and packed it up and just went pastures instead. This is an interesting choice. I actually preferred the deer play, simply because it bolsters your eco and allows for an aggressive timing. This feels more greedy. And greed can be a dangerous thing up against the Abbasids, because this is a Civ that is very comfortable with the idea of feudal aggressive presence. And if you aren't able to turn the screws early on them, it might just turn the other way around. So, apparently Crackety said he was expecting a tower rush, so he went hard into the wood early on. But that wood can be used elsewhere, actually. Like, you're playing the Abbasids. The cool thing about being the Abbasids is being rushed onto the wood because you're panicking about a tower rush isn't the worst thing in the world, because then you've got surplus wood to go back for a TC. So it still plays a part in the grand scheme of things, whereas other civs might be targeting the feudal and castle age, more importantly. They might be more annoyed by being forced to go on that wood. Interestingly enough, DauT is still scouting with that Gur. I think he's only one sheep after all. Only the one sheep after all this. And now Crackety's just going to come through like a Hoover and clean everything up. DauT's like, can I recruit the wolves? Could you imagine if Gur's got attacked by wolves? I'd be laughing right now. No, that's mean. But kind of a tough start. How many sheep did he actually get in the end? I feel like he didn't get many. He went pasture, double pasture, in fact. And actually, I think that's maybe part of why he done it. He could have went the deer, yes, but the deer would have been a risk. And if he got forced off deer at all, with a lack of backup sheep, he would have been dead. I actually believe that's why DauT chose to go the safe route with the double pasture. However, you can see how unsafe it is right now. It's out in no man's land. It's not guarded. There's only one scout here. Wouldn't be surprised if Crackety tries for some early aggressive presence when he sees how loose this Uvu spawn is. No. Did he? Wait. What? What happened to the sheep? What? Oh, God. Because he didn't, he never unpacked it. Oh, no. So DauT just spent that whole time going around with the Gur. He unpacked on the deer. He forgot to unpack on the other. He didn't get any of the sheep. Oh, damn. That's tough. I feel like DauT probably got maybe 5 or 6 neutral sheeps in the end. Meanwhile, in Crackety's base, 13 and more to come. This is a really ugly start to the game for DauT. And the issue is now compounded. Not only is Crackety seen that you've gone for a double pasture opening, but he can see how far behind you are and how far ahead he is. Think about this as like a double up. Wow, DauT doesn't have enough sheep. I have plenty. This means that I don't have to play risky eco. This means that I can go for horseman and raid. This also means that he has to double down on fixing the sheep issue. What it means overall is that DauT is very, very far behind now at the beginning of these feudal ages. And you can see the result of this. Like DauT, he's going to begin the tech up, but Crackety's going to be into the punchline. And I wouldn't be surprised if straight away we see horsemen starting to be spammed out. Because this is a very exposed base. Oh my, Crackety, why? You bully! Oh no, this is not nice. This is not nice to watch. DauT is getting handled right now by Crackety. This is the risk of having pastures away from TC. You're seeing the vulnerability. This double scout are going to commit onto the villager. Unlikely that they kill him, but they can kill another sheep. If Crackety notices this and takes out another, it might be that DauT is that person that drops a hamburger and picks it up off the floor. He might have to walk out to the sheep to harvest it. See now the run back. Looks like he's targeting the villager instead. Missed opportunity. Crackety. He yoinked the sheep. Oh, he can't get it. Okay, DauT is going to be safe. This is a really important detail. If this sheep didn't get through, I actually think DauT runs out of food in an optimal format. Instead, he's going to be fine. And the reason this is very important is because he just went horseman. If he didn't have that food income, he's going to struggle to match what Crackety's going to do. Because Crackety looks like he's actually going defensive. Reasoning behind this is that Crackety went for a second TC, and he went wide. So Crackety's goal seems to be playing towards castle. I don't think he's that interested in playing a prolonged feudal here. Or rather, not playing prolonged feudal with aggression. Interesting choice. In fairness, the option is his because DauT's start was so bad. I would have preferred to have seen maybe like the horseman prep. But I guess his logic is because he's gone for the second TC first, he doesn't actually have an escalation advantage in terms of cavalry. So he'd rather just defend for the moment and then come back with the superior production rates to get into the horseman. Meanwhile, DauT will find very little targets for these horsemen. Because if you notice what's been happening here, like Crackety, although he's playing wood on the east side, he doesn't need to anymore. He can actually just play both wood and food on this extension TC. And unless DauT wants to invest in a heavy military force in feudal with clear aggression, he can't do anything about it. The other issue he's going to face is because this is not the attention point, what Crackety can do is he can divert forces south side and make sure that DauT never pursues a northern raid. I think that's actually going to be the goal here as well. He's sent up the outpost to cover him. It looks like Crackety wants to continue the greed. I'm glad he's sidestepping that now, though. Into the stables. He needs to start getting those numbers up. Would love to eventually see an archery range as well. You simply want one camel archer to counter the horseman. Outpost build up. Definitely greedy. Crackety getting punished. Longer build speed and only committing one villager is a sin. But luckily for Crackety, he did get the required amount of gold for his techs. So although he can't rush castle, he's not really missing out on anything else. Would love to see him get survival techniques. Kind of weird that he's sleeping on this right now, considering how much beer he's gathering up. And the fact that that would allow you to probably unlock an extra stable already if you had that online. Meanwhile, walls go up. Push in. Now starting to come out. Crackety lacking the forces to respond. You can see the second stable is now being built up. DauT behind this. Is he going to double down or move up? It looks like it is going to be a double down. He goes into the racks as well. This is going to force Crackety's hand to sidestep into the archery range next. Outpost now being built up. Crackety will not make the same mistake twice. This time investing 5 villagers. Make that 6 to the build-up. Has got the spearman garrison here just to pepper arrows. That's why DauT is going to back away as he does have vision on that. Meanwhile in the center, we are now seeing rams being built up. DauT trying for a very early all-in. Understandably so. You're 1 TC behind. You had a bummed out start. It feels weird that while you're crippled behind, you're going to play to an early timing. But because your opponent went for a greedy opening, you have to manipulate the game this way. If you just go for your own TC, you're playing catch-up. And at least one of the upsides now for DauT in this situation is because he's playing mid-map, he can actually play wide onto the deer that we were expecting him to in the beginning. Crackety. We're going to start to see this Horseman mass up. My concern is that DauT might struggle to keep up the production rates. If he ever gets spotted on the deer, it can just turn into an insta-GG moment. But for now, really healthy count. 10 Horsemen, double Ram. Hard to breach through the center here. Remember what you're dealing with. It's two 7k HP structures for the Abbasids in Feudal Age. If you compare this to other civs, it's actually harder to kill the Abbasids at this stage because they have an extra 2,000 HP on their landmark. Now DauT will move in. Upside for him is the production buildings on the front side. Downside is that Crackety is still escalating his economy behind all this. That's why DauT needs to be fast about it. Will insta-tap down the mining camp. Actually, no, that's a good deletion there. Crackety knows what he done there. The Ram was mid-swing, and he deleted it. No bounty going the way of DauT. And DauT making a mistake stepping away here. Good pinch coming up from Crackety. Great reaction straight away. Will peel back with minimum damage to him. And you can see the issue with DauT. Lightly armored units that have to stay in TC range to protect the Ram does not feel good. This is why the Garrison is there, but he doesn't want to use it. Most players are really Garrison averse in Age of Empires 4 because the issue with the Garrison functionality, the way you'd think it would behave is that you would click the button and units will be unloaded. It doesn't work that way in Age of Empires 4. You click the button or press your hotkey. I definitely advise hotkey over clicking the buttons. And then click where you want to drop them off. It's very finicky behavior. It's why most players don't actually use the Garrison functionality on Rams. Speaking of those Rams, it looks like DauT has changed his mind. He'll burn down a stable and he'll shift to the north side now. I like this choice. He needs to get rid of this extension TC. Going through the main base is too slow. And you can see already that Crackety is starting to escalate his numbers. Yes, DauT still has the lead, but it won't stay that way for long. Not with the eco scaling that Crackety has. DauT now marching in. Horseman. Horseman can garrison inside here. It would actually be a really good play from Crackety. Maneuver arrow. Spearman. Get a pinch that they want. Nice pullback by the Horseman. Good move by Crackety. He can wrap around here. You can see he's shifting the left side, so the Spearman outmaneuvered. TC is being under siege, but the archers could be exposed here. Wraparound looks good. However, the Spearmen have been mopped up. DauT standing his ground. TC soon to fall. Villagers are going to garrison inside. The Horseman going to peel back. Crackety knows when he's at a loss in this fight. Looks like the TC is going to be sacrificed. The villagers might be in trouble unless he can get more troops out. However, Crackety right now lacks the infrastructure to push the required count. Crackety, another mistake here. He didn't have the phalanx in that fight. Could have made a big difference because half of his troops would have been attacking quicker. Instead, lost the Horseman being mopped up. TC goes down. DauT looking good on the tempo here. If you can keep up the pressure, keep up this eco scaling, he'll have enough to keep on pushing the military required to end this. Now Crackety has to go for that great migration. Will make his way out before DauT knows what's going on back here. The good news actually for Crackety is that DauT never scouted this corner, so he doesn't know about the berry patch. For all he knows, Crackety already pulled the villagers to the east side. That might be his upside. Wall in on the top side here, as only gold can now be gathered in this area for Crackety. Gold really not what he needs. He can at least trade it if need be. But he's making that tech up. That was the sneaky goose maneuver. Crackety actually sacrificed the arm to save the body here. By allowing the secondary TC to go down, he's unlocked his tech up. And DauT is going to be very surprised by this because look what DauT done. DauT began to save up himself. The issue with this is that DauT, instead of looking for a way of ending the game now, he's choosing to prolong the game. And this plays to Crackety's advantage. Yes, he lost a TC, but he's still got an eco advantage. He's still got a tech-up advantage, and now he can realize that power as he arrives in Castle, probably a whole minute ahead of DauT. There's the required resources, DauT. It's obviously going to be the step readout. It's got DauT in the name, so it might as well be owned by DauT in the game. This step readout is so far away, though. Good lord. He's pulling 18 villages. The idle time alone is going to cripple his eco. And at the worst time possible, he gets the bad news. Crackety completing the tech up now. Mana arms queued up. No hesitation. He knows what the answer is. Greedy Boy did not go for the military wing, though. He went for your standardized play. Culture into preservation and knowledge. And Camel Archers also being queued, because remember, he is facing off against a lot of horsemen still. The risk of Lancers is looming as he's up against a Mongol player. That Mongol player now going back for the Rams, but my concern here is DauT had about 1,000 wood. He could have been building these Rams sooner, and he could have went for a tempo timing. He could have actually possibly had that TC down before Castle Age came about. His choice to delay this investment, I think, has actually sacrificed a key point in the game for him. And it means that Crackety gets an opportunity to recover that he probably should never have been presented with. Now Rams rushing in. Unguarded, though. Same with the Villager. March across. DauT does at least have the Yam, so quick maneuver, quick response. The Man-at-Arms marching out, maybe jumping the gun here. There's only 7 of them, but they're against lightly armored units, and they are mighty tanky against this damage. Camel Archer also reducing the damage coming out from the Horseman. Defense arrow is going to be used by DauT to try and stand his ground, but new wave of Man-at-Arms on the way. Primary TC starting to be targeted out. Has been assisting with the arrow fire. Plenty of units going down. DauT is going to sacrifice the whole army, the Rams as well. Everything is going to be cleaned up. And Crackety now with the ability to march forward after getting the Man-at-Arms advantage. He still has 10 alive in the field. So little damage done by DauT. So many units cleaned up. He's building into that Springald. Even that might not be good enough. Remember, it's a 750 HP structure, so it could easily be torched down. Good hold by Crackety. Good patience and good timing here. It looked like he might have been jumping the gun, but you see the power of these Man-at-Arms. 155 health, 6 range resistance, no damage really being done to them is exactly why he's able to take that fight. Now reset, he'll back up for the moment. He'll maintain that military advantage alongside the eco advantage. And I wouldn't actually be surprised, I wouldn't be against Crackety rescaling into a secondary TC. But I think he's going to wait until about 30-40 eco before he even considers it. Reason being, 30-40 military rather. The reason being is like he wants the Mangos as well as the Man-at-Arms front line. Once he has that, there's cool elements at play here. Because what's going to happen is he'll push in. If he pushes in deep enough and notices the step readout, I don't think he goes secondary TC. If he's not able to push in quick enough, I think the TC becomes more logical in his mind. Crackety. Now chasing out. Lancers coming in, but the Lancers do not trade well. Spearman in the mixer, hidden by Crackety. Good pivot. Especially considering that DauT no longer has range units. Oh my. And the Mangonel having a little bit of a dance right there. He's like, woohoo! We survived DauT! Can you kill him is the real question mark. Oh, with no walls up at the flanks, it might be difficult for Crackety because remember, DauT played for mobility here. He can still go after the pocket ecos in the north side if he knows about them. Relics also being gathered up. Love this out of Crackety. I'm going to be arrogant and say clearly Crackety watches my streams. He's heard my pleas for Abbasid players to play monasteries. And that's why he says, you're an idiot pigeon. Monasteries don't exist, they're called mosques. So glad about it, by the way. It's been so long that I've been waiting for this, but Abbasid players are finally finding ways to fit mosques into their build. And they're benefiting so much from it. Time being, though, DauT benefiting from a little bit of a massacre in the back of Crackety's base. Still an eco lead for the Abbasids. In more ways than one. It's not just the villager count anymore, it's the fact that he's getting his hands on these relics. Of course, on the other side, DauT yet to start playing into them because he went all in on the siege. Is a problem here. In fact, I don't even see DauT being likely to go for relics at all now. It feels like it would be so delayed that it would probably be detrimental. I think DauT has this hard timing around 21 minutes that he needs to hit. If he can't amass the siege to breach in, this is going to get really uncomfortable fast. Because now the economy's unlocked. Think about what Crackety's doing here. You know, he's escalated into age 2, not too far off age 3. He's got multiple relics banked. He's still got the villager advantage. He's moving ahead. And with Preservation of Knowledge, he can get the better scaling on his gathering rates as well because it's so much cheaper. You can see the push out now. Dive in deep. Springall's easily target. Brilliant maneuver by Crackety. DauT being punished for his lack of ranged units. What is this melee mosh pit and why does he think he can win it? He most definitely is not. Mango is going to stay alive. It's no longer a melee mosh pit. Not only the Mango here, but Crackety beating him to punchline with the switch over into crossbows. Love this play. And what did we talk about before? The step readout will get spotted now. This detail is very important. Once the step readout is spotted, it's a pullback. It's going to be 19 villagers idling without Yam. It's going to be no gathering in the gold. And DauT, his composition was reliant on that. Gold for the crossbows, gold for the lancers. Gold for the siege is going to hit him hard. Another detail here, both players identifying this military academy, but Crackety quicker to it. With a cheap composition of spearmen in the mix with man-at-arms, the crossbows, this is where the tide of the Abbasis begins. I say begins, it's been building for a while. Into a tsunami now, 37 military to the 10. DauT struggling to keep pace. It's like watching Usain Bolt versus me in a 100-meter dash. It's not going to be pretty. It's not often you say that of a player like DauT, but it really is that far behind. Crackety needs to sort that goal. That's an ugly number, and I'm going to criticize him on it now. I think he knows. He's a little bit misbalanced in the gold department. Crackety could consider Imperial Age after a fallback here, and I actually wouldn't be against it. Especially with the gold that he's getting passively now from Sacred Sites plus the relics, he could trade for the food and go up. But I think instead, it's better to actually reach critical mass of military and use all that gold to build siege. And yeah, there, he understands as well. He agrees. Siege Workshop on the front line. Trebuchets to be built. A push-in now coming. DauT. Not much further away he can run. And yes, Crackety is correct. It is always villagers on the hill stuck mining gold. My point is that he can use this to trade, though. Like, he's flowing 3,000 gold. Sure, you know, it doesn't feel good to trade, but there, yeah, he gets it. He understands fully. Like, it's way too much gold. There's no logic holding onto it unless you want to start trading. Instead, he's going to trade it across into the food, by the looks of it, so that he can escalate further, and you can see that escalation coming out. Crossbows, spearmen, man-at-arms, and the trebuchets all on the way. DauT, meanwhile, I honestly, it's kind of depressing to look at. Look at this production compared to this. It actually burns my eyes to look at. I'm struggling to see a way for DauT outside of Crackety, like, misstepping. I think a misplay has to happen here. If you could get a few Mangonels, maybe that's the way that DauT could do this. The problem is he's not going to rush Mangonels because he's not seeing that many crossbows yet. He's still up against man-at-arms. And also, you're playing against the Abbasis. They have the ability to build the siege in the field as well. And also, the issue is the lack of vision for DauT means he's playing blind AoE now. So rushing into Mangonels without vision is too dangerous. Instead, he has to go for anti-siege. Meanwhile, wrap around on the backside. A few troops going to be found out as DauT is trying to chip some damage away, but won't find any value for it, sadly, for him. He did stop the walls from going up. He does have some access on the north side, but the problem with this map, when you play it the way DauT is now, is that you can argue your units are dynamic, they're fast, they're able to rotate on the flanks. But think of what Crackety's doing the same way we talk about pocket ecos into proxy bases for the Roost with Boar. When you set up base in the center, you don't actually care about cavalry on the flanks anymore because you're not going to react to them anyway. But what you can do is in the same time it would take them to cross map from their base, you can reach your opponent's base from the center. That's what Crackety's doing here. He walls himself off on the sides so he doesn't have to care about it, and now he's going to march straight in the center. He's going to force DauT to now come back and defend. And DauT doesn't have a say in this anymore. If he tries to go on the offensive with primarily crossbowmen, he will do nothing. Crackety. Talked about these trebs starting to creep in. Outpost targeted. DauT is playing a very dangerous game here. His composition is about 70% crossbows. You don't want to be doing this, folks, because 1 or 2 Mangonels can crush you. And we can already see 1 Mangonel in there. In fact, if Crackety sees just how many crossbowmen he's up against, he's probably going to double down on it. Breach through the walls, but we highlight this. Mainly crossbows means it's not going to be fast. Meanwhile, in the center, Trebuchet starting to reach in onto the infrastructure. Crackety, this would be the moment to make a second Mangonel, but he wants to clean up the Springles first. We'll move in. Good trade out. Gets the second wave out. And that's a loss for DauT. 2 Springles stand for Crackety. Crossbows trying to pep them down and punish him. And now the snipe onto the traction Trebuchet as well. Problematic here. Mangonel rolling out is going to push DauT back. That's how threatening they are. Just 1 can do a lot of damage here. Body blocks coming out. Lances are going to be thrown away. And Crackety 100% within his right to turn around and build 2 Mangonels, but instead he decides to dive in here. Crackety with a clear lead, 80 to 56. And remember, a big chunk of that defense force for DauT is not defending, is looking to raid. It's about to breach the walls, but might struggle to find a target now that Crackety is building a defense force at home. Meanwhile, the defense force of DauT is outnumbered and overwhelmed. They need to retreat away. Mangonel's at least going to be sniped out. More Sprinkl's falling for DauT, though. And more of the infrastructure going down because this pushing covers the Trebuchet crawl-in, which is going to de-escalate the production rates of DauT in his own base. Meanwhile, Raid on the backside blocked out Crackety. Beautiful usage of the stone. Defensive keep on his tree line. No breach point. DauT can do nothing here. Meanwhile, the pushing continues into his base. Now Trebs targeting out the Siege Workshop. He understands what's important here. And now Mangonel is being built up in the field. This is why I love Abasa versus Mongols. The escalation that can occur on both sides. The build in the field makes this so damn fun. Now there's Mangonel's built. DauT feeling a little bit small, a little bit outnumbered. Trebuchets packing up and moving forward. Aggressively so, and needlessly so. I'm not sure what the intent here is. Maybe a misclick out of Crackety. It looks like a misclick. I think he was trying to click for a build, and the Trebuchet said, yes, let me help you build that Mangonel. For some reason. Speaking of Mangonels, remember these units do a lot of damage. You can see the damage coming out there. Bonus against buildings. And remember, this ranged armor doesn't affect them at all, which is why Mangos are actually pretty solid up against buildings. Heavy hitting. DauT. What is the move now? I'm at a loss at this stage. I mean, this game, this was tough at the start for DauT, but I think he actually had a way of recovering. If I had to highlight a moment where DauT kind of lost this game, I think it's his choice to go for Castle instead of doubling down on Feudal aggression. I actually think if he escalated the ram count, he might have been able to kill Crackety off before Crackety can defend appropriately. But I think what happened to DauT is he got really paranoid about when the Castle Age time was coming and the threat of a few man-at-arms, which is understandable. But that detail, that critical choice, put DauT miles behind. The defense was really good by Crackety, and the crazy part is you actually saw DauT try to go back for the ram rush after the tech up. Far too late, though. That indecisiveness, I think, cost him the game. And trust me, this game is done now. Like, I don't see a way back. Crackety would double the military force. Full momentum on his side. DauT running out of places to run and hide. Lance is not able to march around the side. Mangonel's ready to crush his dreams. Heavy hitting. Goodbye, villagers. That should pretty much be GG. That's way too big of an eco lead now. And the Mango's still there to clean up all the crossbows. Good lordy. DauT, just call it. This is a massacre. I see what it is now. DauT was waiting for the Khan to die to call GG. Because we're definitely there now. Great shown by Crackety. Great identification, great balance to get away with the greed and sneak the Castle Age when DauT maybe didn't expect it. From there on out, clear, dominant control of this game. And I know that Core is tilting because he thought I was going to be watching Crackety lose.